got some toys in here.
Hey, what's up everybody today? Man-Child. Alright, so today for review, going to take a look at the Masters Universe Origins Replilax figure. The mercenary brute of the Snakemen. So yeah, Reptiliax is pretty much just a another vintage concept Snakemen figure that never came out in the 80s or with part of the vintage line. You know, so they had all the Snakemen out. They had plans for a bunch of different Snakemen. Now at this point, Mattel's put out a lot of them. You know, figures like Fangor, Lady Slither, stuff of that nature. Now we have Reptiliax and Vipor is not far behind, plus a few others out. So yes, Mattel's going really big with the Snakemen line. And now here's a quick look at the art and back of the package. So yeah, once again we have Reptiliax swinging his green glowing axe, which he comes with, against looks like a palace guard or some type of guard. Might even be another, I'm not sure what it is. It's another snake guard maybe, a snake armor. I say that because in the background here you also have, there's an image of the Snake Lair Castle, I think it's called, something like that. Now this was a fan vote choice, I believe it won, going back last year. So basically Mattel put out this fan vote for another crowdfund project. There was 4 or 5 choices, one including the Fright Zone, this Snake Lair, it was like the Filmation Tack Track, and a couple other things. I believe this one, this came in first place, and the Filmation Attack Track, I think, came in second. So I haven't heard anything about that as far as what they plan to do with the crowdfund, or if they're going to manufacture or what. But anyway, it's pretty cool to show that. So before we take a look at Reptiliax and all his accessories, he comes with a comic like some of the newer Snakemen come with. It's called Leviathan's War, now Terror, which I also reviewed, came with the same comic. And I'm assuming Lord Grasp does as well, which I also haven't carded. I haven't got to him yet. Anyway, I'll bring it up close. You want to check it out. Try to read the bubble captions, everything that's going on. So yeah, Snake Armored Skeletor's involved. Got a hold of a medallion. There's a lot of double crossing going on. Against a Snakeman, Lady Slither, Skeletor, all that good stuff. I read a little bit of it, but I guess it kind of comes into play with Reptiliax and the back of that art with the axe. Because it looked like he was striking some kind of snake trooper or something like that. But really cool art. Here he is here. Some other additional Snakemen in the background. It's funny, he's holding a Horde crossbow, which this figure does not come with. Okay, there's Skeletor with that medallion. Snake armor, which of course the Origins already has out. There goes Reptiliax. Stop Skeletor. Ship coming in there. Reptiliax there. Skeletor, that medallion again. You can see they're holding. Actually, Lord Grasp got struck with an arrow. You read the comic a little bit. That's what that Horde crossbow was. Shot him through the chest. Terror screaming, using the screaming effect. It's the Snake Horde Troopers. There's that that new ship that's coming out for Origins, the Collector. Can't wait to see that. Snake Mountaineer. And now, here's a quick look around Reptiliax and all his accessories it comes with. I didn't realize it comes with a tail. I didn't see that. That's pretty cool. So it adds something different to this figure aside the green head and armor. Because you kind of just get a bunch of generic weapons we already seen before, you know, cast in this bright green color. And now, bringing in Reptiliax for a closer look at the head sculpt. Yeah, really cool head sculpt design for this particular figure. Now, this head, to me, looks like it's going to be another head sculpt for Fangman to possibly come in the Origins line. I thought somewhere I saw a tease of him that he might be coming to this line at some point. So that's what that head reminds me of. Yeah, really cool head sculpt. I like the open mouth. Now, it's not articulated, but again, I always like the idea of a mouth open with fangs and a tongue or something like that shown, instead of just a boring closed mouth. You know, some figures have that. Sometimes I wish they would include one of each, depending on the figure and the expression you're looking for. But he has the snake or lizard tongue sculpted outwards, and you can see they painted it. Actually, it looks like a separate piece plugged in back to here, and then you can see it's painted black. Has some additional sculpting back inside the mouth, like the tongue goes further in, and it connects to this. Couple fangs sculpted, painted white also, which is neat. Yeah, I love the eyes on this figure too. The way the sculpting has the outer black portions painted around the glowing, almost like glowing eyes, bulging outwards. I mean, taking a look at the side of the head, just can see the ridges going up here. He has these big fins or horns. You got 3 of them, also painted black. As far as the articulation with this head on this body, you can look left to right, go down and back all the way up like that. Kind of interesting too that with this figure, or the idea of this character, going back to the vintage one, it was never released, that the head's green and the body has this goldish yellowish tone on it. Kind of yeah, it's Motu. Anything works. Kind of funny. You would think either the whole figure would be green or the head would have been yellow to match this. That's what they were thinking at the time, right? Again, it's all fun of Motu, mix and match and wacky parts. And I bring that up because I think it's later on it'll be interesting to try to mix and match some parts, but I don't have a figure. Well, I can probably try to put the green on a couple of their Snakemen bodies. I might try that, but I don't have anything yellow as far as a figurehead to match this so far. Anyway, so yeah, something to think about later. So as far, we already went over the articulation. Now I'm going to pop the head off the ball joint for a second. And here's a little closer look at that head off the ball joint and how it recesses back inside the neck, the fins on the back and all that stuff we already looked at. So putting the head back on, moving back down to his chest and shoulder armor. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Something different we haven't seen yet. See how her back part goes all the way down like this. The front has yeah, cool Snakeman symbol painted, like a large emblem, and yeah, the snake in there painted as I mentioned. A higher collar piece here that kind of hides the head, but when you move it around, go up, you can see the neck. So again, it's funny to transition with a green head to a yellow body. Must be a pigmentation problem with this guy or something. I don't know what the choice was. So yeah, you get some buttons sculpted outwards, or some kind of, yeah, spines or something like that. I want to say in the armor. You know, these ones are obviously highlighted yellow, like the collar, and the back here just black. But yeah, cool that they sculpted all those extra details. Got some gold trim going around the upper part of the armor, and I guess there's a lower part or plate that's flexible, but it's all part of the sculpt. And you can see how there's 2 straps to go around. So to remove the armor off the body, I think we got to take the head off again. And then you can see the little snap on the back, so we're just going to lift it up like this, and then pop it over the neck. And then it looks like it's easier just to break the body in half. And now here's a little closer look at the armor off the body. You know, again, how flexible it is, the inside details, the paint, stuff we already looked at. And now, putting REPTILAX all back together once again. Here's a quick look with them without the armor on. So if you want to display them like that, or just take a look at the overall buck design, the colors without it, there you go. Yeah, just typical Motu Origins style. He-Man Skeletor buck, nothing new. So without the armor on, let's just go over the articulation, finish it up. Nothing new we haven't seen with an Origins figure, but of course he has typical He-Man arms, I'll call them. So we can go all the way up, down, forward, and back as far as the articulation. You can bend up at the elbow somewhat. This figure's kind of tight. There you go. Bend up the elbow, straighten it out, spin at the elbow. Go all the way to the face. You want to punch himself in the face. Or just, yeah, block, you know, guard his face with a blocking maneuver, something like that. On this right arm, he has a new style wrist bracer, a little different than a typical He-Man scale or He-Man one. Pretty cool, painted red, it's all part of the sculpt. And then he has 2 semi-closed or gripping hands on both the left and right side. And this one can spin, goes in and out in a hinge joint. And the left arm is all the same, so as far as the articulation, but this has a bare forearm. Obviously, doesn't have a gauntlet like this. Which I don't know why they wouldn't just sculpt 2 on them, but again, design choice in the days and what they did with this figure. And his hand does the same thing, it spin, go out in and out in a hinge joint. So we already went over the head, and yeah, now you can really see it. This is really loose too, by the way, like how sloppy mine is. Just it's like heavy when you go to move it forward. Anyway, so we already took them apart at the waist. We know that for customs. Has your typical Origins style He-Man, Skeletor, you had a whole deal, belt, loincloth. Now, in the comics, he had another piece of, like, additional Snakemen type configured armor that this figure doesn't have. So, yeah, I kind of wish he would have came with that. Anyway, moving down, he has, looks like King Hiss style legs, which is cool now for customs with this color, with that vertical plating going all the way down. And as far as the articulation, go out with a split, kick forward, go back about that far, bend at the knee, spin at the knee. Other legs are all the same. And then he has boots that are similar to Clawful, Whiplash, and Buzz-Off as far as the feet, but those figures have different like bumps and stuff like that, and ridges on the out or the inside, where this, yeah, just a little different boot design up here. And of course, they can spin, remove if you want them to, and change out the boots. And then, as I said, the Buzz-Off Clawful Whiplash feet, once again, it's painted red to match the boots and the belt. And as far as the articulation with these, go up, down, and rock side to side. And again, the other foot's all the same. So once again, I put the armor back on because it just looks pretty cool. So spinning REPTILAX around again. You can see him back at the loincloth. They have a peg hole back here. Now, he comes with a new style tail. Again, we haven't seen the Origins, which is pretty cool. So let's take a closer look at it. And there's a close-up look at that tail. So yeah, pretty cool detail. Has horns or spines, sculpted all the way outwards, and they're really sharp, like hard plastic. Color obviously matches the body. If you spin it around, he has those segmented plates on the bottom, which are painted red. They are different from like the boots and the bracers, so it's a flatter color. And then you can see where the peg goes in, and you can move the the lower part of the tail, but it's pre-sculpted. It's not like on a bendy wire or nothing like that. So let's plug this onto the body. And now I'm just going to peg the tail and back at a REPTILAX like so. And now there's a quick look with that setup. So again, it's pretty cool to have a figure, the Origins, part of Snakemen wave that, yeah, has a whole different tail, the armor, and his head that, again, could be used for Fangman, which I have a feeling is coming. So taking a close look at this tail once more. Yeah, it's simple, I guess. It just plugs right in. Just have a hole in the back of his loincloth there. And I can obviously articulate. You can spin it all around like this. It does help hold them up, which that's also cool. Because a lot of my Origins, I got to use figure stands or something on the bottom of their feet sooner or later. Yeah, I see what I did. It would have been cool if they, you had some type of, or the tail, something had like the loincloth, cloth, and belt was modified, sculpted outwards. So this is kind of coming through it. It's not just a tail just sitting on, just plugged in like that. Kind of looks cheap, but I get why they did it. I might use a marker and fix this, something silly as that is. But anyway, it's pretty much how the tail's set up. And yeah, I like that. I like that choice with this figure. I didn't realize he had a tail on him until I took him out of package and noticed that. And now, here's a closer look with all three weapons that is included with REPTILAX. So we get the, this axe once again. I think Ram Man and both Grizzlor came with this. Of course, it's molded in the fluorescent green plastic. You get another sword again that the first release Triclops was also included with. Again, molded in the same color. And then you get a snake shield that I think King Hiss also came with. His was red, and this one's also molded in that fluorescent green color. And has the, you can see the clip-on piece that does spin once it's on the wrist. So, once again, bringing REPTILAX back in the frame. Let's put some weapons in hand. So, let's throw the axe on the right side. And then a Triclops sword on the left. And now, there's a quick look at REPTILAX all armed up, ready for battle. Both weapons in hand. And then, of course, I'm just going to add the shield to the left side. Go on the right side as well, but I think it's easier without the bracer. And now, there's a quick look with that set up. Yeah, that's not practical to me to have the shield and the sword and axe in both hands. And this too, it's like, it slides down and knocks the sword out of hand. Seems like to me, like, just keep one weapon in one hand and maybe the shield if you want to use it on the other arm. And now I just took the sword out of hand, put the shield on the right side, axe in the left. Take a look at that setup. Yeah, actually the shield fits a little better on this bracer. Alright, so taking the axe out of the other hand for a second, just want to take a close look at the shield. So if you put it on this side, it's not obviously gripping as tight as this bracer, but it does slide all over the arm. So even if you put it on a forearm, it's like, see, that's really hard to grip. And look at it. It's already making a plastic white on this. That's how you snap it. Now, as I already mentioned, it does fit better on the bracer. But then it sort of overstretches this piece. So it's something you got to really be careful with. Yeah, it's like not the most practical setup as far as this clamp on each arm. But it does work better on the side. And now you can bring it all the way up to the face. And of course, I said you can turn it left or right if you want to. So moving forward with some comparisons and a little bit of mixing and matching of parts. So here's a quick comparison with REPTILAX against Cobra Khan, Gorgon, and Fangor. Now the reason why I brought all four of those in, not only are they all part of Snakemen Faction, but for me, if I'm going to mix and match parts, a head on the body, yeah, I want to match the colors, match the colors anyway, or something close. So obviously this head is green. All three of these Snakemen figure bodies are also in the greenish tones. Again, mixed around, I don't mind that. Some people can like to try any kind of different heads and any bodies. And again, that's what makes Motu fun. For me, yeah, I'd rather keep colors pretty close. Unless it's like Trapjaw or something robotic, then it doesn't matter. Anyway, so let's see what REPTILAX's green head looks like on each one of these Snakemen figures I brought in. Alright, so first up, I put REPTILAX's head on Cobra Khan's body, and that matches pretty well. At least the arms. Cobra Khan's arms were like a flattish color, and the body had like a glossier tone to it, which works for him. But anyway, kind of a quick look at that setup, and I like that. Head looks really cool on this body, because again, the green tones with the green tones. So next up, I threw the REPTILAX head on the Gorgon body. So take a look at that. Yeah, Gorgon really had a mixture of colors going all over him. So again, it can work, even though this is a lot flatter. And as far as when you tilt the head, you know, the head back, as far as the articulation, it doesn't look bad. You have the neck piece, kind of how it all blends in. So there's kind of a quick look at that setup. And why I have Gorgon out now, yeah, he came with this diabolical Snakemen 4-pack. I reviewed that a while back. Really cool set. But this figure, along with the Acid Spitter, didn't get any weapons, so I put one of those the Skeleton Warriors 2-pack weapons in his hand. And another thing I want to show with this figure, too, I have him out, because I've had questions on this. So with these, they use the Rattler heads on a Cobra Khan style body with the snake symbol. Now, both of the figures, they look up like that. Look up like this. You can, your articulation go left to right, and that's about it. So what I did is I modified it so now the head can look all the way forward and down. It's pretty cool. And what I did is I just took a small file and razor knife and I cut down a neck piece so the peg can go all the way forward like that. And it works much better. So if you're curious how to modify any of these figures with the Rattler head, especially from that set, so they're not like looking up goofy like that, that's how you make them look forward and down. It works really well. And now here's a look with the REPTILAX head on Fangor's body. That looks really cool on that body because the colors match very close to Fangor. Again, he has a little more like a glossier tone. This is flat, but I like that. Not that I would do that with this figure, because Fangor already had an awesome looking head. But if you want to do that with this, try it out with this figure on a Fangor body for customizers to look like, and it looks really awesome. And for a little bonus, I brought in the Mattel Origins Whiplash, even though he's not part of Snakemen Faction, which really what I'm trying to focus on with the REPTILAX head or overall figure. But Whiplash to me is always a favorite. Really interesting with his colors, his design choice, the tail, going back childhood even to this day. Aside from that, so right, there's Whiplash heads, everybody knows, but I want to try that head on this body. Could work, looks neat, just because, yeah, Whiplash is very creature-like, and this kind of bumps him up an extra notch with that head. And again, he has a couple different colors going on, so one more shade that's different on the head is not too bad on this figure. Articulates well, doesn't look bad with the cut going up to the neck. Pretty cool, and check that out. Yeah, I like it. Okay, so now just focusing on the yellow part, or the yellow body of REPTILAX. Of course, I have the head off. I brought in King Hiss, because he's the only Snakeman figure that has yellow tones, and even then are just really bright compared to this figure. But he does have the King Hiss legs. He had different boots and stuff like that. The armor we can always change around. But, yeah, I'm going to put some King Hiss parts on him, just for the two yellows, and see what that looks like. So the first thing I want to do is just try that Serpent King Hiss head on the REPTILAX body. For the most part, it's hit or miss. It just catches the ball peg, but you can't really articulate it. You can spin it left to right. Now, is it on? Let me see. Because that collar piece is kind of, just goes underneath that rattle snake wrapped around the neck. And just catches it. If you play around with it. And if you don't, see, it pops off the ball peg easy. But for the most part, you can get it to work. You just position it this right, and again, you're not going to go up and down. You can just look left to right, but that's a pretty cool look. So even though it's a bright yellow with this darker yellow, in my head as far as customization in the tail and stuff, looks pretty cool in this figure. And now the next thing I want to do is just use the whole upper King Hiss body and head on the lower legs and the tail. So take a look at that. That's pretty cool. So now we're really converting him to a King Hiss. And again, even though the colors are different, for me, I just like the way it looks with this tone on the legs, the tail. You know, it kind of helps blend it or split it apart. It's just a belt and loincloth, and you have the upper part. I like the boots on this figure too. So take a look at that. Pretty cool. And now here's a look with the REPTILAX armor on the King Hiss Serpent body. Take a look at that. And it fits good too. Again, you got to just mess around with the head, but yeah, it's a whole other look for this figure. Pretty cool. Alright, so obviously I removed the Origins King Hiss upper half off the REPTILAX bottom legs and tail. Now the other thing I wanted to try is this classic Serpent King Hiss upper half. Now I do have this figure in card. He comes with like something similar to a loincloth and legs just like these, but a little darker. And regular like Rattler feet that's painted, which I hope we get legs like that in the Origins, because that would be great for customs. Anyway, I bought this on eBay loose, the upper half. Somebody was selling it, and I had to drill a little hole in this because I think it had peg coming out. But I really want to use this upper half on a pair of legs like this and a tail. So I'm just going to put this together and we'll see what that looks like. And now there's a quick look at that customer, my personal favorite setup at this point. That's awesome. Wow. And what would have been cool is if Origins kind of made their King Hiss Serpent a little more detailed like this. I mean, we got this part, obviously. I remember reviewing this figure. Kind of wish they would have sculpted one of the mouths open at least, like this mouth is, or the lower snakes are done in this figure. See how they did it with this one. All you would have to do is, yeah, just one, or never mind, both sides would have been cool. Leave one closed open. That would have been neat and have more snakes come out of them instead of wrapped around the body. That's kind of going back to what the vintage did a little bit. But yeah, this is really cool. He has bendy wire and stuff like that. And even in the comics with King Hiss, what he looks like doesn't really look like this. This was their way of going about it, which is, you know, a lot better than the vintage one. How small that was. I like it. Not complaining, but this is really cool. Okay, so that's my overall review on the Master Universe Origins Reptilax figure as part of the Snakemen Faction. I gotta say, it's pretty fun, you know, it's what to expect with a newer Origins mix and mash of parts Snakemen figure. I like that we have a new head now because I can see this definitely coming to a Fangman, which is a pretty cool character in the series. Whether it's going to come out for the regular Origins or the cartoon line, I think it could do both. It's a little odd to me that it's green. Again, going back to the vintage art or inspiration, that's how it was in the design. It works for this figure. It's fun, but for me to make customs, I'd rather either the body to be all green to match the head or yellow to match the body. But that's just me. And you've seen what figures I tried it on. I only tried a few, and then what yellow things I can mix with him out of the Snakemen faction or Snakemen figures. There's other figures, Origins we could bring in. Could be a whole other video. It's not something I'm going to do. Kind of wish they would have gave him a different axe, going back to his original art. They just throw in the generic weapons we've already seen before. Another Triclops sword, which, for me, I didn't need another one, but you do get it. The shield does work a lot better on his right arm with the bracer. This eye just it's sloppy, keeps falling off, and if you put it too high, it overstretches this buckle. But, you know, might vary figure to figure. I really like that he has a tail on the back, gives him something different, and of course, new armor, but yeah, I wish it would have had some kind of sculpting, like it's coming through. Yeah, it was a modification to the loincloth and belt for his tail to come out. Again, silly little things in my mind, not important. I can use a marker, as I mentioned earlier, and do something like that. And how often you really see it, it's plugged in behind him, and it does help hold him up. Aside that, yep, definitely a fun figure, and it's pretty neat to have him. So I appreciate everybody watching, and until next time, take care.